There are many amazing weapons to collect in Dragon Dogma 2, including some very powerful elemental ones like holy maces or electric hammers. So let's go over some powerful items you don't want to miss, starting with the bolts from the blue. These daggers have a decent base damage, but the main reason to get them is the fact that they can also deal magic damage, specifically lightning. Unlike the weapon buff mages can cast, this elemental effect is active permanently, so you're dealing lightning damage with every hit. And having a pair of magical weapons is super useful in general, as some enemies like oozes and the floating specters you find at night are much more vulnerable to magic damage. In order to get these daggers, we want to go to the Windborn Gully cave to the north of the checkpoint rest town. The cave is on the right upper ridge of the valley, so use the rubble to get up on the left side, then jump over to the right side like this and climb up to reach the cavern. There are some enemies in here, but also a ton of ore you can mine, and of course a chest with the bolts from the blue, which contains an elite camping kit as well. So if you don't have one of those yet, really nice to grab this chest early. And there's another amazing weapon we can grab that's also close to the checkpoint rest town, although for this one we want to go out exploring at night. But it's going to be worth it, as we'll be adding the fiery sorcerer staff Kraelstein to our arsenal, which adds fire damage on your basic attacks. So great to get in some extra elemental damage in between casting your big spells. To get this Arcus stuff, we want to head over to this spot on the map, again specifically during the nighttime, because there is a skeleton slash necromancer boss here that only spawns when it's dark, and the staff is actually part of his loot pool. He's not that hard to kill, just be wary of some powerful ranged spells, and if you get lucky like me, you'll get the Kraelstein first try. If you don't, simply return to the checkpoint rest town, wait 2 to 3 days on a bench, then head back to the same spot. This respawned the boss for me, but if you don't see it, try waiting a bit longer before you come back. I also tried the same trick with the campfire nearby, but that unfortunately didn't seem to work. But using the bench in town, I was able to get him to respawn, meaning you can farm him if you don't get the stuff on your first go. For the next set of items, we need to head into Batal, and if you don't know how to get there yet, we made a video on that and more tricks that will make you overpowered early, so I'll link to it in the video description. Once you've made it to the region, head over to this spot on the map to find a small cave called the Dark Beast's Den. There are some enemies in here that I don't think I've seen anywhere else, but apart from the fact that they deal lightning damage, they shouldn't give you too much trouble. But next to these enemies, there's also a chest in this small cave, and it contains the very powerful Cyclopean Thunder, a two-handed lightning hammer for the warrior vocation. It's very powerful, with high base and magical damage, and high knockdown power too. Again, having a magical weapon on a physical class like the warrior is extra nice, as it helps you in dealing with certain types of enemies, so definitely grab this one as soon as you can. Also in Batal, you can find the very nice Fool's Prize Spear for the Mystic Spearhand. Already a cool looking weapon, but especially awesome when a mage enhances the weapon with some elemental damage, bringing you even closer to roleplaying as Darth Maul. And the Spearhand in general is kinda busted, not just because of the Jedi-like abilities you get. We made a video about it, you can check out via the link in the video description. So to get the Fool's Prize, make your way to this campfire over here on the map. There will be a nice surprise here that I don't want to spoil, and then just make your way through these woods and enter this cave. It will be full of enemies, just make your way through, and then you'll eventually reach this part of the map where you have a squad of hobgoblins protecting the weapon in a chest. Our next destination in Batal is the Dragon's Breath Tower, which is located over here on the map. The main reason for going here is because you are able to unlock the ultimate ability for the Mystic Spearhand by defeating the dragon boss at the end of the dungeon. But this dragon will also drop a very powerful weapon for the Spearhand, the Dead Ringer, that you obviously also want to get. If you manage to pick up this item and the ultimate early, as we described in our Spearhand video, again, we'll link to that in the video description, it is still worth coming here. Because in a chest on your way over to where the dragon would be, there is an amazing shield for the fighter vocation, the Dragon's Faith, that you definitely want to grab. It has some very high stats, and in my opinion, it's also one of the best looking shields in the game, so make sure to go out of your way to grab it. And if you want more amazing items and tips for the game, subscribe to not miss our next video, and of course leave a like if you enjoyed this one so far. Now you of course want an amazing weapon to pair with that shield, and there are two great ones that can be found relatively close to one another. For the first, we want to head all the way to the south of Batal to the Drapnir's Grotto. Near the end of this cave, you'll find a chest containing the Exalted, a mace with a permanent holy enchantment, which makes it especially effective against skeletons and undead. Now the way through this location can be pretty tricky, so if you want to head straight for the exit, follow these directions. From the entrance, head straight through the cavern, drop down here and take the path on your right. Keep following that until you reach a T intersection, drop down on your left and keep going left while hugging the back wall. When you enter the next room, take the tunnel on your right, drop down and break the weakened part of the back wall. The chest with the Exalted is located in the next room, as is the exit of the dungeon, which leads straight to the Volcanic Islands region. Which is a good thing, as from here we're able to grab 2 more amazing weapons by heading to the mountain base cave over here on the map. From this location we are able to grab a second amazing mace for the fighter and another amazing hammer for the warrior to boot. Both also come with elemental damage, fire this time around, so you definitely want to go out of your way to grab them. You will find undead, lizardmen and oozes in the cave, so make sure to bring some magic damage, especially to deal with the latter. Then, soon after entering the dungeon, you'll see your first chest on an elevated platform, which we want to ignore for now, as we can find a balcony if we progress forward that allows us to easily jump down on here and grab the Cinder Spine hammer. Then later, in this room with a peculiar looking rock formation, there are 2 chests, with one containing a Wakestone shard and the other the Molten Fury mace for the fighter. And there is one final spot where you can get a ton of amazing weapons, provided you have the gold to buy them. And that spot is over here on the map, the Sacred Arbor, which is where the elves have taken up residence. Now the problem with that is that they speak Elven and you as the Arisen do not, so everything they say will be incomprehensible. That is, until you find someone to translate for you, which is a skill your pawns can learn too. So I just headed in the direction of the Arbor, made it to the settlement and found a Riftstone inside, so I could immediately find a pawn that could help me translate. Set your search filter to specialization with R1 or RB, then look for a pawn that has the Woodland Wordsmith skill and recruit them to your party. Once you do, Elven speech is automatically translated so you can converse with the people here, including the Blacksmith. Their inventory contains a lot of weapons with elemental buffs, like elemental staffs for both mages and sorcerers, but my favorite is the magical bow Shiokad for the magic archer. This is already a powerful vocation with many elemental effects at its disposal, but having some extra frost damage on all of your base attacks makes it even more powerful. And I found that the frost effect triggers quite often, which is of course especially nice on a ranged vocation, as slowed enemies have a harder time reaching you. And you want to make sure you upgrade the weapons for your magic archer at this Elven Blacksmith too, as their smithing style specifically increases magic attack and defense on items. So upgrading your mage and sorcerer weapons here is also a great idea to optimize their damage. Let us know your favorite weapon in the comments, subscribe to not miss our next video, and it would be awesome if you could leave a like on this one. You can also watch our previous video on items that help you get overpowered early by clicking on the screen. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.